And with that, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to College Football Wraparound. Of course, I'm Cooper Naylor, your host, and I am glad that you have joined us today. And of course, it has been a long time since we've done a College Football Wraparound. I believe the last one was December 11th, right before the Army-Navy game. So, it's been a long time since I've done College Football Wraparound for y'all here on the channel. And so, let me go ahead. I want to show y'all the schedule we have got for today because we have got a lot to dive into this afternoon. So as you can see, coming up first, we're going to recap the Peach Bowl. Then right after that, we'll recap the Fiesta Bowl, followed by the Sugar Bowl recap, Rose Bowl recap, Cotton Bowl and Orange Bowl recap. And of course, the Cotton Bowl and the Orange Bowl were a part of the College Football Playoff. And if you were here on Friday, December 31st, well, you got to hear my voice do the Georgia-Michigan game in the Orange Bowl. So, of course, that's what's coming up. Plus, we have a Q&A time. Then, of course, we will lead that into previewing both the FCS Championship and the CFP National Championship game. Of course, the FCS Championship game comes up in less than an hour from now, so that should be an interesting game. And then I'm going to pick those games, and of course, that will be it for the day. So, of course, we are so thankful you have decided to join us here on Saber Broadcast Network. If you see that I'm a little tired, well, it's kind of, it kind of is, I'm a little tired because last night, I and my brothers, we play on a basketball team, and it was our first game, and it was a late game, about 7 o'clock, 7:30 tip-off, and it didn't get over till about 8:30, and it was a good game. We won our game 46-35, so that was awesome, but it was a late game. Of course, we came home and had a good time. Of course, went to bed about it was about 11:30 before we went to sleep. So, folks, I'm a little tired. I got up not too long ago, so just hang with me. Of course, we have as you can see, we have a schedule put together for today. So, getting to the Peach Bowl though, Michigan State and Pitt. It was an interesting game to me because you had the two big players in this game, which were Kenneth Walker, the running back from Michigan State, and then you had Kenny Pickett, the quarterback from Pitt, both sit out of the game. So we really didn't really know what to expect from this game, but what we saw was a game where, and of course for Pitt, I mean, their backup quarterback, Nick Patty, ended up getting hurt early in the game. I think they said broken collarbone. So they had a third-string quarterback out there, Davis Bevel. And, I mean, you could only expect what you could expect from a third-string quarterback. And that is just some inconsistencies. He hasn't had a chance to play. So, I mean, it was kind of like, okay, this is kind of what we expected. But he held it in check, he did a good job throughout the game. It's just near the end, Michigan State pulled away. So, I mean, and it was a game, it was very defensive-like, because you didn't have your two star players, of course, Kenneth Walker and Kenny Pickett sitting out, because, of course, they're going to be drafted in the NFL come April, which, of course, I do want to say, we will be here for the NFL draft. We are not sure in what kind of, we're pretty sure we're going to bring you each night, which it'll be 3 days, but, the setup, we are still kind of negotiating with that, trying to see what we're going to do about that. So, of course, we will get to you, the viewers, on that as soon as we can. But you look at Michigan State and Pitt, and, it was a very defensive game, and it was one that, in the end, Michigan State just had they had more talent. Their quarterback Clayton Tune, he played a good game, and no, not Clayton Tune. Clayton Tune's at Houston. Good grief, I don't know where I'm at today. Either way, the quarterback at Michigan State had a good game, so it will be interesting to see what happens there next year with Michigan State. It should be an interesting team. So, I see here, though, because if you have noticed, I've got me a new webcam for you. So it's plugged into my computer right now. And I got my phone, which I was using for the camera. And I'm using it to keep the chat moderated. And, so Chris Naylor says, where is Mr. Producer? Well, he's kind of busy today, so, told him he could have a day off, so that's where he's at. He's enjoying a little bit of a break. So, you know, it's pretty fun, though, putting a production together like this. So, let's see. Let's move on, though, because we got a lot more to talk about. Oklahoma State and Notre Dame. This game, I'm telling you, if you're a Notre Dame fan, I mean, you saw sparks of, we're going to be really good with Marcus Freeman. And then you got sparks of, how did we lose this football game? You were up, Notre Dame was up 28-7 in this game, folks. They were up 28-7. If you look at the bottom and you see the banner right there, they lost 37-35. It's right before halftime. You're up 28-7. And Oklahoma State comes back and beats you 37-35. Before you scored your next touchdown, which I'm talking about at Notre Dame, you allowed 30 unanswered points. Now, for Notre Dame, if this is the way that they're going to play this season, can we really trust, I mean, not this season, but next season, are we going to trust that they could be one of the top teams? Now, I understand. Players are trying to get used to the fact that Brian Kelly left for LSU. I know that's an adjustment period. I mean, having a new coach, that's a huge adjustment. But you've had Marcus Freeman there for a few years. Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator, still there. You have a lot of the same staff still at Notre Dame from what Brian Kelly had employed. What happened in this game that your defense could not stop Oklahoma State? Now, like I said, if this is the way Notre Dame's going to play this season, how are they going to get anywhere? I mean, they really look very poor on that defensive side if you're up 28-7 and then you allow Oklahoma State to beat you 37-35. Now, I will say this, though. For Oklahoma State, giving up 35 points, I understand it because they lost their defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles. So they were still trying to figure out what they're going to do on defense. But, I mean, it's inexcusable, in my opinion, for Notre Dame because you still have the same staff. Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State went to Ohio State to be DC. So, I mean, I don't know what to say, but Notre Dame, their defense has got to get better next season. I mean, you lost to Cincinnati this season 24-13 in a game that you really didn't show up on offense. So, we'll see what happens with Notre Dame. Of course, there's a lot to be said for Notre Dame, though, going into next season. So, moving on, though, to the Sugar Bowl. Baylor topped Ole Miss 21-7, and again, this is a game where Matt Corral who is going to be drafted in the NFL, he decided he was going to play. He was going to play for Ole Miss, and he was going to give it his best shot for the team. And you know what? I think a lot of people respect that he wanted to play. And you know, and there's been a growing conversation. And this Matt Corral is just another tip of the iceberg person who is putting this into context as far as like should players play or not in bowl games? If you're going to be drafted in the NFL, should you play? And I mean, if you want my answer, I think that, you know, as a fan, you want to see the best players go out there and play. You hate to see star players sit out of football games that are, I mean, in your opinion, it could be meaningful. Matt Corral is the epitome of an old school football player who said, I play for the team. Now, I mean, can you really judge a star player for saying that I'm going to go ahead and go to the NFL because of my capability and where I'm going to be drafted? I don't blame him at all. I mean, what you do if you do play in these ball games, you risk getting injured, which could lower your draft stock. So, the thing is though, if you're going to set up a bowl game, I mean, let me ask you something. If you're already a first round draft pick and you are thinking about potentially sitting out, I mean, here's my thing. If you're going to sit out of a bowl game, and if you're going to say a bowl game's meaningless, then what happens to the regular season? Answer me that, because if you get to a regular season game, and let's say if you're Ole Miss, and you've already got 2 losses, you got no chance to go to the college football playoff, what if Matt Corral this season, with 2 losses already, what if after that point he already knew, okay, I'm a top NFL draft pick, I'm going to be drafted in the NFL, there's no need for me to go show anything else out because it'd just be meaningless. So what if he sits out then? Well, think about the uproar from the world of college football. Everybody would be like, you can't sit out of a regular season game. You must play in a regular season game. Okay, then answer me this. If you're going to say the regular season you've got to play, when the season's completely kind of over after 2 losses and you're a star player, like if you have 2 losses already, and if you got this standard of you can sit out of a bowl game, from that point on, if you're a star player and you got 2 losses on your team, shouldn't you be able to sit out of those games too if you've already solidified your spot in the NFL draft? Of course, like I said, we got question and answer time, so you can give me some answers to this because I'm dying to know, because I'm one of these people, I would really love to see these players go out and play in the games, but I don't blame them for sitting out in ball games. But I'm just bringing up a conversation about if they were to sit out of bowl games, why can't they sit out of meaningless regular season games? And you know what? This is where the NCAA needs to step in and clarify some things. And you know what, folks? NIL and the transfer portal stuff that came out last season, we all thought, oh, look at how good this is going to be. And you know what? I'm not against players getting paid with NIL deals. I'm not against it. I think it's a good thing. But when you get to this point and there's no regulations behind what's going on, and the NCAA sets it in stone and then basically says, okay, y'all go out there and do it yourself, and we'll sit back and just enjoy what we've delivered. There's got to be something the NCAA has got to do. Because, let me tell you, to this point, this has gotten out of control. Now, you may argue with me all day that the transfer portal's been like this forever. But when you see how this is going, you know, folks, it's starting to turn into the NFL. Players can leave on their own. And something everybody brings up is coaches leave all the time, so the players should be able to. Okay, go look at the coaches though. Look at the contracts they sign, the coaches. Coaches sign contracts, folks. Players get scholarships if you're a star player. Players can leave for free. Players leave freely. Most of the time, head coaches have contracts. It's either them, the coach, or the school that they get hired by has to pay what is called a buyout. So, I'm one of these people. The transfer portal there's got to be something with regulations coming for the transfer portal. Now, NIL deals, I think, is a good thing. But in all reality, the transfer portal has got to be taken care of. Because, I mean, let me bring up a person. Look at Caleb Williams. Your backup, Spencer Rattler, he transfers to South Carolina. And I understand, new head coach. But Caleb Williams is going to be the starting quarterback. And it probably isn't even a competition, and Venables is going to choose Caleb Williams. He takes a couple days off after his bowl game, just to think it over, and then he transfers. He's transferring. I don't believe he's gone anywhere yet. And you know, folks, if players can just all of a sudden transfer, this is not good. And you know, look, if you've graduated from your school and you decide you want to continue playing and you want to go somewhere else to play, you know what? Go. I don't have no problem with that. But let's say like if a redshirt freshman, a guy who was a true freshman, redshirted the whole season and then decides, you know what? I want to go play somewhere new. What kind of message is that sending? You're basically telling the next generation of football players you don't have to commit to your team. And you know what? This is a world issue, folks, where people do not commit to things. And I'm a person that looks at all this, and you see the lack of commitment in this world, and it angers people who truly commit to things, even if it's difficult. So, let me tell you something. The NCAA has got to fix this issue, and they got to do it quick. So, of course, that's my rant. Ole Miss, of course, was with Luke Altmaier, the backup quarterback, and they couldn't do nothing on offense. So, Baylor played a good game. So that's where that game went. And I know I'm getting a little behind schedule because I just had to go on that rant because, you know, it's been eating at me, folks. Alright. we are way behind schedule, so I got to hurry with this. Ohio State and Utah played for the Rose Bowl, and this was, if you are a person that loves like outstanding scoring football, this was the game you wanted. I mean, this was the game you were dying to see. So, and you think about it, Ohio State at one point in this game looked terrible. And they had a couple of receivers, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, sit out because of the NFL draft. So then you got all these backup receivers, but it's one of the starting receivers that played great, Jackson Smith-Njigba. He looked incredible. Both him and C.J. Stroud set Rose Bowl records in that game. And let me tell you, folks, Ohio State, they've already put themselves in a spot where that game, Ohio State Notre Dame, that is going to be a game for the ages, folks. If Notre Dame can fix their defensive issues, if Ohio State, if this is how they're going to play, oh, you can already guarantee this is going to be a great football game come September. Now, I know that's looking ahead, and we'll get to that later in time, but I can't excuse, though, Utah, though. They played an incredible game. And not to mention the fact, near the end of the game, their quarterback Cam Rising, he got hurt during the game, and he wouldn't return. So their backup comes in and throws a touchdown to give the Utes a 45-42 lead. Or I believe 45-41. No, I think they tied the football game at that point. Of course, this game, it was a week ago, so I'm trying to still recall some of the moments from the game. So let me tell you though, this game though, Utah, they played great, and they of course were playing for Ty Jordan, and of course the his friend, which I am sorry, but I have forgotten. But either way, they played an outstanding football game, and you can't say much more about how good it was, because it was really a great season all in all for the Utes. I mean, you look at it, they had played strong for their team. So I just got to say, Utah, they are one of the most inspirational stories of the year. That's for sure. And they played so hard. And, that was their first chance to go to the Rose Bowl this season. And you talk about, that was their first time winning the Pac-12 championship either. As well, So Pac-12 championship and a trip to the Rose Bowl in the same season, folks. I'm telling you, that is an inspirational story right there. And Utah, I gotta say, if you're looking for a team that could be like if you're one of these people that looks for most experience or most improved team, I'm telling you, Utah has improved a lot. Especially from where they were last season, they were not good. And even though it was a COVID-shortened season for Utah and everybody in college football, Utah still played. They were not good that last year, and this year they had a good season. So, kudos to them for their play. It was incredible. So, of course, that was the Rose Bowl and it was a great game. But now with it being 10:32, I do want to start talking about Bama Cincinnati. And really there's not a lot to say, but Bama just ran it down their throat. Now, this is hard to say. From this season, Alabama, their run game has been atrocious, folks. I mean, it's been bad. Brian Robinson finally found his stride against Cincinnati. Now, the only thing I want to say is, could this really be like, could we be overshadowing things for a moment? I mean, it's Cincinnati. Now, I understand I may get some blowback from this because because everybody's like, well, Cincinnati was in the playoff. They were a good team. Okay. Still. Who does Cincinnati play all season? Their only good game, if you're looking from it from a standpoint of outside of the American, was Notre Dame. At Notre Dame. Now, I will say, it's a good win. That is a great win. But let me argue this to you. Notre Dame, at that time, their offense was bad. They could only throw it to Michael Mayer, their tight end. That's all they could do. And so, you're going to argue to me that, I mean, can Cincinnati really play that? I mean, I don't know. This is what's been going through my mind for the last week, and that is, it's Cincinnati. Brian Robinson had a great game against Cincinnati. Now, I'm not trying to be a Bama hater. I'm not trying to say Brian Robinson's terrible. All I am saying, though, is that it's Cincinnati. Look at the defense they played. The defense Cincinnati played allowed for moments like these. So, I mean, what can you do? What could Cincinnati do any different? And they didn't even try to change their strategy going in the second half. Try to say, hey, let's stop, let's try to stop it. Couldn't. So, I mean, Georgia's going to be this Georgia game is going to be incredible to see. And also, I and Rusty Casper will be bringing you the call Monday night at 7 o'clock here on Saber Broadcast Network of Alabama and Georgia. So, of course, Alabama and Cincinnati was just, it was bad. Alabama scored more points on the opening drive of the game, and they could have still won the game with how the defense was playing. Now, you're talking about some bad football. That's some bad football from Cincinnati. And that is incredible football from Alabama. Well, everybody, let me hurry up and give you the recap, though, of the game I did on Friday night, the Orange Bowl, Georgia, Michigan. And this one was just more of a, can you really say that it was, this game was bad. It was bad from the start. Michigan's offense couldn't do nothing. They tried and tried and tried. They could do nothing at all in this game. And Georgia, their defense was just lights out perfect in this game. And Georgia, and this really brings up another question for me. And I think you've got a lot of the same storylines from I mean, well, not really, but for me, at least, I think there's still some, some deliberation between, look, Stetson Bennett has played great this season. And I'm not trying to say he's a terrible quarterback, folks. I'm just trying to say the games that Georgia's won this season, they're 13-1, of course. Has he really had, I mean, you go look at the loss against Alabama. He had to throw the football. Look at how he played. Now, answer me this. Against Michigan, did he have to throw the football? No. I don't think he did. He didn't have to sit back and throw the football like he did. But you know what? Michigan's defense allowed for some of those throws. Now, I'm not saying that he played terrible. I mean, he played incredible football against Michigan. But here's my thing. You get a game against Alabama. You already know how that defense is. How are you going to change the narrative? For Georgia, it's going to be, can Stetson Bennett not throw an interception against Alabama? Now, this is a nickname I coined for him, of course, a while back when Bama and Georgia faced off in Tuscaloosa. Just in the 2020 season, the COVID-shortened season, they played. Stetson Bennett threw, I believe, 3 interceptions. How about interception Stetson? That's how he plays against Alabama. All he can do is throw interceptions against Alabama. Now, I'm not taking away from the beginning of that football game in the SEC title game against Bama, because he did play pretty good there at the beginning. But once Bama started pressing more and tried to get Georgia out of their comfort zone, Stetson Bennett couldn't do nothing. He was completely helpless. And folks, Bama will win again Monday night. Of course, that's overshadowing things, and I got to get to that later. But with that, everybody, we are ready for your favorite time in the show. Question and answers time. Coming to you live, of course. So, you got questions, I've got answers. Bring them. I'm ready. I'm ready for some questions, because you know what? This is what I am excited for, is the question and answers time. And we can boast that we're one of the only college football pregame shows that is going to come to you folks and let you be the interviewer. You give us questions, we will answer them for you, and we boast that we have something unique for you. So, here we go. So, Brad Rusty says, I love the new setup. Your webcam is amazing, and the scenery is also good. Also love the schedule before you start. Well, thank you. Thank you. It has been, of course, we worked on it for a little bit, so, moving some things around. Of course, this chair, if you go back and look at the history of Sarah Broadcast Network, it's not a new chair, but, tell you what, it's one that has a lot of memories from my heart, so, tell you what, it is nice to finally have a setup where this chair will be utilized a lot, so folks, thank you. Thank you for the great comment, though, Rusty, and I cannot wait to join you for the National Championship here on Sarah Broadcast Network. It's going to be amazing, trust me, and it's going to be like a radio broadcast, so it'll be awesome. Alright. Of course, I can take a couple more questions. I plan, though, because we are running a little behind schedule, and by at least 10:44, I want to get to previewing the FCS title game, and then by about 10:15, 10:49, I want to preview the CFP National Championship game. And then about 10:54, I want to pick the games. And then about 10:59, I will close this thing out for you. Of course, there's a lot of good football to be coming today. Just the 3 games that I am going to be watching today. The FCS title game, that's coming up in about 18 minutes. And then, of course, there's 2 NFL games. The Chiefs are playing the Broncos. And then that's the early game for NFL action. And then the Cowboys and Eagles play late. So I'm glued to the football, to the television screen today, watching some football. So, okay. So, will Spencer Rattler win the Heisman? Oh. To tell you the truth, I think what you saw from South Carolina is an improvement from Will Muschamp. I mean, Shane Beamer, you just gotta give him credit for this team. South Carolina was a team where everybody was thinking, nobody wants to coach the Gamecocks. Nobody wants to coach South Carolina. Well, Shane Beamer goes there, and of course, he's got ties to South Carolina. And he brings in a style. And I know y'all are all going to fuss because, oh, they were 6-6. Is that really a great season? Well, let me tell you something. 6-6, when you overachieved for South Carolina standards on what you were thinking about this season. And you know what? I know. I didn't say this in the preseason, folks. Or did I? I don't remember. Either way, I said South Carolina was going to be really good this season. Now I know. But either way, as far as Spencer Rattler winning the Heisman, it's a possibility, folks. I think it could happen. So, Spencer Rattler could win the Heisman, folks. I think it could happen. Alright, I will do one more question. So, is Tom Brady college football FBS yet? I would like you to elaborate on this, because this to me doesn't make sense. I mean, it says, is Tom Brady college school FBS yet? I don't understand this. I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't understand. But, of course, Michigan is they're in the FBS. So, okay, well, I hate to cut the chat short for now, but I've got to roll on to the next part of the show. The FCS title game's coming up today, folks, and I'm telling you, I'm excited for this. I think this is going to be an interesting game. Now, I looked up the stats today, and both teams like to run the ball a lot. Their defenses against the pass is, not great. But these teams they're going to play good defense. But I will say this, though. They're going to run the ball, but it's going to be a defensive football game. It's going to be old school football. But these teams are going to put up points. So, I believe from what I saw, North Dakota State's averaging about 33 points per game, and Montana State's about 30. So, pretty even in the scoring column as far as what you see. But I think it's going to be an interesting game for sure. But I think what you're going to see is North Dakota State, they're just a dynasty in the FCS. You look at the players that's come out of North Dakota State. Carson Wentz, you got Trey Lance. There's bunches of others. But, Of course, also coach is Chris Kleiman, who is at Kansas State right now, who, I mean, he's not doing a terrible job with Kansas State. And, I mean, you know, it's going to be interesting just to see what happens in this game. But I really do think North Dakota State's going to win this football game. And it's going to be this game's going to be really close, in my opinion, but I think North Dakota State will pull it out in the end. So, North Dakota State will win the football game, in my opinion. So, let me turn my attention now to the game we have all been waiting for. The time has finally come for the one game we all have waited for. Alabama and Georgia in the national championship game. Monday night at 7 o'clock. Now, I'm building this up because, let me tell you, the last time these teams played in the national championship game, it was one of the best games you will ever watch. Now, if you're a fan of any team other than Bama and Georgia, this was the game you wanted to see. Let me tell you something. And I'm a Bama fan. But that was nerve-wracking. Watching, I think it was Bulovas. Joseph Bulovas was the kicker that year for Bama. Woo! He was bad. He was, by far, maybe the worst kicker I have ever experienced in college football history, folks. And I know there have been bad kickers. This guy was the worst kicker in the history of college football. And let me tell you something. It was bad. It was 20-20 going into overtime. And you know what? Georgia kicks a field goal right there at the beginning. So they have a 23-20 lead. First play Alabama has on offense, 16-yard loss because it's a sack, and Tua Tagovailoa gets sacked. And at this time, don't forget, Tua Tagovailoa was a backup quarterback for Alabama. He comes in because Jalen Hurts cannot do anything in this football game. So, Tua Tagovailoa on 2nd and 26, he gets the snap and automatically looks to the left, and Devontae Smith is gone. And Devontae Smith will catch that football, score the game-winning touchdown, and that is how history was written. So let me tell you something. When you ask me, are you excited for this? Oh, I am pumped. This game is going to be a whole lot better than the one I did Friday night between Michigan and Georgia. This one is going to be a million times better. This one will be the game of the year. This one will be the game that culminates a season of upsets and incredible football. So, when you ask me if I'm excited, oh, I'm excited, folks. I'm excited. This game, it's going to be again, Alabama's offensive line versus Georgia defense. That's what it's going to come down to. And then another storyline for you to watch, Stetson Bennett. What's he going to do through the air? He's got to play better than he did against Alabama that first time in the SEC title game. He's got to make more throws. He's got to make every play that he can to beat Alabama. If you're playing Alabama, you've got to outscore them. There's no way you're going to be able to win the game if you cannot keep up with the scoring of Alabama. There's no way. Alabama's got too much talent for you to sit around and keep putting the football back to them. Because you know what? They're going to keep scoring on you. You've got to go down, and you got to slay the giant early. For Georgia, what you got to do, Georgia, to win this football game, you've got to play good defense, and you've got to be up big time at the end of the first half. Because then, Alabama can still come back. You've got to get up big time and maintain the lead. That's really what Georgia's got to do in this game. But for Alabama, if you're looking at what they got to do, Bama's just got to sit there and just play Bama football. Throw the football, get your receivers wide open, make the plays, and if you can, maybe get some things going on the ground against Georgia. If you can get it going. Don't stick with the run if you can't get it to go, though. Because I think Michigan proved that the other night. If you can't run the football against Georgia, don't try. Just throw the football. So, it is now time for me to pick today's games. And, of course, today's games are presented by PC and More Gifts. The picks is where I'm coming from. And I've got a little visitor coming over here if he's going to come to the camera for you. But it's my cat Gilligan. He's a crazy cat. He's a play. But getting back to this though, FCS title game, Montana State, North Dakota State. It is it's an interesting game for sure. But honestly, if you look at Montana State, North Dakota State, like I said, defensive game. They're going to run the ball. And there he is. As you can see, there he goes, too. There's Cat. Oh, cats. Tell you what. They're funny. But either way. I think North Dakota State will win this game. I think they'll play good enough defense to win this game. And I think they're going to run the ball. They're going to put up enough points to win this game. So, North Dakota State will win it. I'll be watching it here in 6 minutes, so, it's going to be interesting. And then, of course, the one and the only CFP National Championship game. We'll be here live for it, Monday at 7 o'clock. You cannot miss this. Because, folks, it's all coming down to this. And I'm telling you, you really don't want to miss this. Because of what I built it up to be. You don't want to miss it. My cat keeps on, I don't know what he's doing. He's looking out of a window. Oh, goodness. Either way, but this game, I think Alabama will win this game. Alabama will be national champions again. Back-to-back national champions. I just think they're too much. And I don't think Kirby Smart can get over that hump and beat Alabama. I don't think it can happen. So, that's who's going to win the game. Alabama. So, with that being said, that is kind of it for today. Of course, we will be here Monday night, and a note for college football wraparound as I try to get things put together, editing wise. So we'll be okay. So we will be moving to Friday nights in August at 7 o'clock So, this is a note for next college football season when we are doing it. Because Saturdays, we won't leave you hanging, though. Because what we've got planned for you is college football wraparound will be moved to Friday night at 7 o'clock. Then, the new college football on Saver Broadcast Network. It's going to be like how we've done these games we're doing for the playoff. It's going to be radio broadcast, but we're going to bring you the biggest games of the week live here on Saver Broadcast Network through a radio format. Most weeks it'll I'm going to work on this. Of course, this is a long time but this is our last college football wraparound of the season. Of course, we've got a lot coming up with what we could do. So, just, keep in touch with everything that's going on. Just keep visiting the page. We'll have updates on what's going on. But, like I said, it's been a great journey this season with college football wraparound. Next season, I have plans of what I would really like to do. It's just, trying to get it all situated and getting it all together. So, we'll get that all figured out for you, of course. And so, that's just a reminder what we're doing with college football wraparound. Of course, if we had to move it away from a Friday night next year, well, of course, we're going to move it. We will make sure that we keep you in touch with what's going on, because you, the viewers, you're the people that help us put the stuff together because you motivate us. So, we want to thank you for tuning into today's college football wraparound. And like you see right there, moving to Friday nights in August. And then, of course, when the college football season comes back, August 27th, Nebraska and Northwestern is the first game planned. So, in that game, if it stays as planned, it's, the NCAA has scheduled it to be, they've scheduled it to be in Dublin, Ireland. So, of course, we will, if all goes right, that's the first game we'll be doing, coming this next football season. But, a lot to look out for. And, of course, like I said, we thank you, the viewers, for being here today. And with that, this has been College Football Wraparound. Thank you for watching. And we will be back with College Football Wraparound next season on Friday nights. So, with that, thank you, and we'll see you later. Goodbye, everybody.